Hey, welcome to Sports Unfolded NBA Ranking Show. I am your host, Eric. Big dog in the house tonight. How are you, Kenny?
Good, 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 good,
S-
good.
so, a lot going on in the NBA, a lot going on with our rankings. But I wanted to start off really quick by getting your opinion on the Boston Celtics Lakers game on Saturday night and LeBron James's reaction to the non call of a foul. And I was just curious how you felt about it.
I think it was a great call. I think it was a great call. I think it was a
Yeah,
great
because it
call.
benefited the Celtics, sure.
Yeah, exactly. Great. I think it was a great call. Refs. They make mistakes. The refs make mistakes. They can't get every call right. Just
So I actually had the luxury of seeing a replay of it after, and LeBron James took like 4 steps before the foul even happened.
oh yeah.
I didn't see. Do you think he was upset about them not calling the travel on that play?
What's a crab walk? It's a crab walk.
So every Monday we release our NBA rankings and we do a show just to kind of explain where we're at and how we got there. So this list changed a little bit. We saw a change at the top. So we're going to bring that list up and we're going to kind of go through it real quick and see how you got to these rankings, Kenny, because this one surprised me a little bit. You got the Memphis Grizzlies at number 5. The Milwaukee Bucks make their way back on the list at number 4. The Denver Nuggets at 3, so they dropped from the 1 spot.
Yep.
The Celtics moved to 2, and the Philadelphia 76ers jumped from 3 to 1.
Yeah.
So I guess a couple of things. Brooklyn off the list now.
Yep.
No Cleveland, no Sacramento. Want to explain why?
The Nets are struggling without Kevin Durant. Sacramento, if they can win a couple more games, they can be on there. And that's it.
Cleveland, who's been on the list on and off, 31 and
On and off.
21.
Yep.
Not feeling Cleveland either.
No.
All right, my friend. So let's talk about that number 5 team, and that would be the Memphis Grizzlies, who are 32 and 18 on the season. Phenomenal home record at 21 and 3.
Yep.
11 and 15 on the road, though. So a lot of struggles on the road with this team, which is surprising.
Yeah.
Scoring 116.7 points per game, 112.3 given up, 5-5 in their last 10. So they had that big winning streak and then just seemed to struggle. They are on a 1-game winning streak currently.
Yeah.
But in their last 3 games, they lost to Golden State, Minnesota, and they won against Indiana.
Yeah.
Next 3 are Portland, at Cleveland, and then Toronto. What can you tell us about the Memphis Grizzlies, how they came in at number 5?
Well, this still is a running team. They play good defense. Steven Adams will be out for a couple of weeks.
Oof, that's a big loss.
Yes, big loss. But don't worry, Brandon Clark. They still got Brandon Clark. Bane should be back this week. And you might see a signing of Danny Green.
Ooh. Is he currently on the team or is that?
Yeah, he's currently on
Wow.
the team.
I didn't even know Danny Green was on the team. Yeah, Brandon Clark, pretty impressive. 10.5 points per game, shooting 66.8% from the field. So you think about what he means when he gets on the court. It's almost an automatic bucket. Bane shooting the 42.3% from 3-point range. So obviously him returning will be a key for them from the outside. Ja Morant doing Ja Morant things. We know what Ja can do.
Yeah.
But Dylan Brooks as well, another guy, 15.6 points per game. Very unexpected to get that kind of output from them. So they're getting contributions from everybody. And then Tyus Jones as the backup, giving them 10.5 points per game.
Yeah.
Why only 5th, though, Kenny? Why do they seem to be inconsistent? What has caused them to not be a top contender? We've had them as high as, I believe, 2
Yeah.
one point, and now they're down to 5, and in jeopardy of being off this list altogether next week.
Yeah, because they can't win on the road. Like you said last week, you gotta win on the road because you gotta win on the playoffs. So you gotta learn how to win on the road. You gotta have to gut it out. You gotta have to,
put it together, right? Because
yeah.
realistically, look, they're the second seed right now in the West. And if you are 21-3 at home, you want the number 1 seed. You want everything going through Memphis.
Yes.
You don't want to even take a chance of having to go on the road because you know how you can perform. So they've got to figure this out. That's going to be crucial to them in the playoff push. I mean, granted, there's still a good chunk of the season left here, but it's pretty surprising, 50 games in and you got, 11 and 15 on the road.
Yeah.
So, my friend, Milwaukee comes in at 4. 33 and 17, 20 and 5 at home, 13 and 12 on the road, 114.1 points per game, 111.9 points given up, 7 and 3 in their last 10. They're on a 4-game winning streak currently. They are getting hot at the right time. Right before the break, that's always a good, sign going into the back half of the season.
Yeah.
Last 3 games, beat Denver, beat Indiana, and beat New Orleans. Next 3 games are Charlotte, the Clippers, and Miami, all at home. So that bodes well with them for them, especially with that home record. We all know about Giannis, and I am shocked that this guy is not being mentioned in MVP talk. It's you hear about Jokic, we've heard about it, Tatum, the Embiid thing we'll get to when we get to the number 1 spot, but Giannis is getting so much help from everyone on this team. Is this a scary team to think about when you think about in the East? We know how tough Boston, Philadelphia are, but Milwaukee with Giannis, and then if you can get Drew Holiday, who's contributing, Brook Lopez, Bobby Portis is averaging a double-double at 14.4 points and 10.1 rebounds.
Yeah.
Chris Middleton, who hasn't been Chris Middleton, only 11.1 points, but again, he's still working his way back from that injury. Grayson Allen, 10.6 points. How quick do you think Milwaukee, with these guys now back and seem to be getting healthy at the right time, can make that run and probably be the number 1 team by the time this season's all said and done?
The thing I realize is that Chris Middleton has been back 4 games, and they won all those 4 games. So if he's back and they're winning, does that mean that last year was really a fluke?
It could be. How big of a piece is he to their success?
Exactly.
And I've never been a big Chris Middleton fan, but the season prior where they won the title, you saw what he's capable of.
Yes.
And I think that's what Milwaukee's going to need going forward in this season. To your point, if they're going to win games with Chris Middleton, he's going to take some time or points away from one of these other guys. Who that guy is important.
Yes.
They're playing very good defense. Brook Lopez, 2.5 blocks per game. I mean, he's just a blocking machine and still getting 14.5 points per game. So you think about what they're getting from everybody. Middleton's a big piece, though, for them, you would say, in the playoffs. Yeah. Your bench is shorting up, right? You get less rotation, usually going 7, 8 guys in a playoff series. He's going to be a starting piece, and you can't afford to not have him at, 15, 20 points per game.
Yeah. So that means that Giannis doesn't have to score 50 points.
Yeah.
Even though he can't easily.
Did that happen? Did Giannis score 50? Can he score?
And
why is Giannis not being mentioned more for MVP? Like, why is there such a, I guess I would say, stigma? I mean, 31.7 points per game and 12 rebounds, 5.3 assists.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
Pretty impressive.
And I've not heard his name mentioned.
Yeah, me neither. Pretty impressive.
Right? So, I mean, and he's the all-star captain.
Yep.
Right. So they're giving him some of those titles, but they're not talking MVP right now. And I'm just curious as to why. Do you have an opinion as to why he may be not mentioned as frequently? obviously we've heard about Nikolai Jokic and what he's doing.
Yeah.
But again, if you look at Giannis's numbers, I mean, they're pretty comparable.
Yeah, pretty comparable. Really comparable.
So I don't know. Excuse me. I think Giannis is getting not getting a fair shake. And again, 33-17. I mean, it's not like they're having a losing season or struggling. And he did a lot of this without Middleton early in the season. So he pretty much carried this team throughout. But we'll have to see how, it turns out later on in the season. But if he continues to put up 50-point games, I think he might be in that conversation.
Yeah.
Denver Nuggets fall to 34-16, 22-4 at home, 12-12 on the road. So all these teams, it cracks me up how poor they're playing on the road because they're all veteran teams for the most part. 116.5 points per game, 112.7 given up, 7-3 in their last 10. They've lost 2 in a row. So in the last 3, they beat New Orleans, then they lost to Milwaukee and lost to Philadelphia. Next 3 are at home, all at home, New Orleans, Golden State, and Atlanta. This is the only team that I researched out of this list that has 7 players in double figures in scoring. So they're getting scoring from everyone. What's the struggle on the road with Denver? Why? I mean, I know the altitude in Denver, and they talk about that when teams come in and play there, and it's tough. So you would think it would be easier for Denver when they go on the road because now it's like, oh, I can breathe even easier.
Right.
Right. And yet they are 500 on the road right now. Lost to Milwaukee, lost to Philadelphia. Is the East the strongest conference? Is this almost a guarantee that the East wins the NBA Finals just based on the way the West teams are, and you see more consistency out of the East?
It might be. I've never known this year's Denver to squander a 19-point lead, and Jokic has to, get a game-winning shot. 19-point lead? Wow, that's crazy. And they got a good team. All their kids are good. Jamal Murray, Bones Highland. Them kids are good, and they're young.
Yeah, very young. They're healthy now. They're all playing. Michael Porter Jr., who's been one of those injury guys as well, he's playing. They're getting Bruce Brown off the bench. They're getting contributions from him, KCP.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious. And Aaron Gordon's having a very good season.
Yeah.
So to me, I think it's just you're starting to see it all come to light. It's the cream's rising to the top, and you lose to Milwaukee, you lose to Philadelphia, or 2 top teams in the East. That's concerning. And then that home record, that road record as well. It's again another one of those things where you sit back and say, okay, how are you going to be a championship team if you can't win on the road? Because currently, the way it would stand, if you were going to face Boston in the finals, which we'd hope, but if they were going to face Boston, right, it would be Boston would have home court.
Yes.
So even if you go 7 games, that's 4 losses because you can't win on the road.
Right.
So Denver needs to figure it out. I think they've coached very well by Malone. I think, again, to your point, very deep. This is probably one of the deepest teams in the league. And you got probably the best player, arguably the best player in the league right now in Jokic.
Yeah.
So there really is no excuse that this team shouldn't be the number 1 team on this list pretty consistently. And yet somehow they're another team that's kind of bouncing up and down. It's like following the bouncing ball. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Every time we talk about the Boston Celtics, it gets to be an interesting conversation. But they fall to the number 2 spot, 36-15, 19-6 at home, 17-9 on the road, 117.8 points per game, 112.3 given up, 7-3 in their last 10. They won their last game, but their last 3 lost to Miami, lost to the Knicks, and then beat the Lakers. Next 3, Brooklyn, Phoenix, and then at Detroit. So 2 home games, very winnable games. Phoenix is starting to play a lot better, though. Phoenix is starting to come around as well. I think they've won 4 or 5 straight now. To your point, Brooklyn with the injuries, So, as crazy as it sounds, are we harping too much on the fact that the Boston Celtics aren't perfect? I mean, they still have the best record in the NBA. We're still considering them favorites in the East. We're still considering them a top contender to get to the finals, and yet we sit back and we judge them so hard based on the fact that they lose 3 in a row, or they don't look as good against the LA, right? The Lakers, they had to go to overtime to win that game. Games that they should have won, Orlando, but then look what Orlando's been able to do to teams like Philadelphia, who they beat the other night. So, right, it's just, are we too hard on the Boston Celtics? Are the expectations too high?
Way too high. But there's injuries. You know, Marcus Smart's not back. He was our Kia Defensive Player of the Year last year, I'm sorry. And it's just injuries. And once we get over that injury bug, we can get back to doing those Celtic things.
Yeah, and then you sent me out something today about Joe Mazzulla being the All-Star head coach, and we've been talking about his coaching. Obviously, the top seeds in each conference get to coach the All-Star game, but how big of a honor is that for him, do you think? And then how important is it to his coaching and being around these players and maybe learning some things?
It might be huge for him, but you got to realize it's a pickup game. You know, it isn't, nobody really takes, it seriously,
Yeah.
I mean, some of them do, but most of them don't. It's just a big pickup game.
Yeah, but maybe from a standpoint of him learning from some of these great players, just maybe, something gets said, or maybe some conversations in the locker room about how they coach or see things. That might be important to him. But again, Jason Tatum, an all-star starter.
Mm-hmm.
How important is that to his continued growth in the NBA?
Oh, huge. It'll give him so much confidence. And then after that, it's going to be lights out. He gets that confidence. Hey, I'm an all-star. I get to hang out with these guys, pick their brains.
Yeah, look, I think he's been in the All-Star game now a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that he got named as starter is pretty important to him, I'm sure. But I think from a standpoint of, it gives him that confidence, to your point, of saying, look, I am one of the top players in this league.
Yeah.
I think the only problem with Jason Tatum, and sometimes with the Boston Celtics in general, they get 3 happy. They like to shoot the ball deep, even when they're missing.
Yes.
And I think that's what, listen, Jason Tatum has the ability to take anyone to the hole at any time. He's got the strength now. He's got the quickness. He's got the ball handling skills. And yet he sometimes settles for that 3. And it's still, to me, one of those things that if he doesn't work on that in his career, it's always going to be that one thing that haunts him.
Yes.
Because when they're struggling and they need a basket, instead of him just driving, get a shot. Listen, you're either going to get fouled and you're a phenomenal free throw shooter.
Yeah.
You're going to make a great play, maybe a 3-point play that way. Or again, you're creating the defense to have to leave somebody open to try to contain the lane because you're driving, which leaves some guys open and they have better opportunities from the 3-point line. That may open up the game for the Boston Celtics. That's the one thing that I think Marcus Smart was doing for this team. He was keeping them kind of on a pace of saying, look, drive the ball, good passing inside, and then kicking it out. So, again, I think to your point, right, a little too hard on the Boston Celtics. The best record in the NBA right now, got their interim head coach as the all-star, head coach. Jaylen Brown, Malcolm Brogdon have been playing great basketball for this team. Derek White, 10.3 points. You think about him off the bench. Smart comes back. I think that'll make a difference. I think they're going to sit him till after the All-Star break just to let him be fully healthy. That would make the most sense. But we still consider them one of the top teams in the East.
Yeah, if they stop turning the ball over, turning the ball over. You can't turn the ball over 35 times in one game. I mean, you still win, but you can't do it.
Yeah, and that's what plagued them in the playoffs. That's what plagued them in the finals. They just couldn't hold on to the ball.
Because they shoot that deep 3, boing, they try to get it, It's just turnovers.
Yeah. And then the Rob Williams situation, obviously him not being back,
Yeah.
100% yet. So until he's back and just able to contribute on a nightly basis, that's going to be an interesting thing as well to watch for the rest of the season. But let's talk about this number one team. First time on this list at number one. And that's the Philadelphia 76ers that come in at 32-17, 19-8 at home, 13-9 on the road, 114.7 points per game, 111 points given up, 8-2 in their last 10. They did lose their last game. Orlando's like the giant killer, the King Slayer. Everybody that faces Orlando that's in one of those top seats somehow loses. But they did win against Brooklyn and Denver in their last three, then lost to Orlando. Next game is against Orlando. And then at San Antonio and at the New York Knicks. Joel Embiid, this has been a very interesting conversation. So basically second in scoring behind Luka Doncic, was not named an all-star starter. Your thoughts on that and why you believe he wasn't named an all-star starter?
He's had an up and down season. The first part of the season, he was Joel. Second part, he's Embiid. 47, 18 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks against Denver, 47 points. I mean, I realized that, they weren't guarding each other. Him and Jokic weren't guarding each other. That's pretty bogus to me. But still, those are some stats. Those are some numbers.
Yeah, look, James Harden, we talked about him being motivated, how important it was going to be to Philly. 21.3 points, 6.3 rebounds, 11 assists per game. I would take those numbers from James Harden.
Me too.
The key for them right now has been Maxey. 20.6 points per game. He's shooting 39.2% from the three-point line. So not only is he helping them score, but he's creating those outside shots that's important to keep Embiid probably single coverage down low in the post, because now you're going to have to say, look, we got to defend the three-point line because DeAnthony Melton as well is shooting 39.6% from three. So they're getting two guys that are almost 40% from three-point range. And then you get the big fella down low. Look, get the rebound, put it back through. He can shoot the mid-range. He can pass well. You got Harden motivated. This team is extremely scary.
Extremely scary. Extremely scary. And when they was playing Denver, they put Tucker on Jokic, and he did a good job. Good job shutting him down.
And that's one of the reasons why they picked up PJ Tucker, because you think about it, his defensive, prowess, what he means to a team. He's a champion. He knows how to win. That's what they need, is those pieces. You got a coach in Doc Rivers who's won one. So yet we'll still sit back and say, look, when the playoffs start, do we believe the Philadelphia 76ers will be the best team in the East?
No.
Right. And that's the stigma that's going to hold this team right now, because I think it's going to be more a mental thing when they get in the playoffs. They have the talent. They've got 3 legitimate scorers now with Maxey. And all they need to do is say, look, when we get in the playoffs, don't put that pressure on ourselves. Put that in our mind that we can't win in the playoffs. And I think this team can succeed. The key would be, again, injuries. And Joel Embiid has been one of those guys that sometimes has those injuries. They cannot afford to lose him. No, he is too important a piece. If you had to say right now you were picking an MVP, and it was between Embiid, Jokic, Tatum, Giannis, how would you go?
Oh man! Oh my God! Oh geez! Put me in a spot like that.
I know, brother. I know, my man. But listen, this is why we do this, because your basketball insight. I'm sure you're going to be able to say, you know what? This is why I would do it. This is why.
I would have to say Embiid. I would. Right now, he is shooting more in the paint than last year, which is outstanding for him. to change his game. Last year he would shoot that jumper. Boing, 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 boing. Now he's taking it to the hole, getting the easy ones. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, 53.4% from the field.
Yep.
That if you're gonna make half the shots you take, and he's a 20 plus shot a night guy, you're gonna get your points. And to chip in 1.7 blocks, 4.2 assists, 10 rebounds a game. This is where that MVP argument comes. Take a guy off a team. How successful are they?
Yes.
And I'm not saying you take Giannis off Milwaukee and they're any better. But I feel like if you take Embiid off of Philadelphia, they are completely a different team.
Yeah. Different team.
Milwaukee will struggle. Boston will struggle without Jason Tatum. Denver will obviously struggle without Jokic. But again, they got 6 guys that are getting double digits.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a guy right now in Joel Embiid that basically is taking over that team and saying, to your point, against Denver, we're not losing.
Yeah.
We're not losing against a top team in the West. We're going to show them that the East is still the beast. So let's bring up this list again, because I am so excited about this list this week, because I thought this so far has been one of the most interesting lists when it comes to teams that are in there, because we got the Memphis Grizzlies at 5, Milwaukee at 4, Denver at 3, Boston at 2, and Philadelphia at 1. Kenny, the only team that bounced out last week was Brooklyn. Which team this week has to be on watch?
The Grizzlies.
Memphis Grizzlies, right? Portland, at Cleveland, and then Toronto. Yep. And all 3 very good teams. We can sit back. Portland Dame's doing Dame things. Dame Dollar's back.
Yeah,
my man's putting up some points.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is.
At Cleveland, they don't play well on the road. That's a very tough game, and Cleveland's very good at home.
Yes.
And then Toronto's one of those scrappy teams with Siakam and all those guys. They know how to just stay in a game. I could agree with you there. I could agree with you that I could definitely not see the Memphis Grizzlies on this list next week. It's going to be really interesting though to see how Milwaukee does that game against the Clippers, if they have their dynamic duo, and Miami, who's starting to play a little bit better basketball as well. Yeah. I think the top 3 teams, to your point, are pretty well set, unless that Philadelphia-Orlando game.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's the game, my friend, that we sit back sometimes and go, okay, that's an easy win. That's an easy win. So, Kenny, we changed it up last week, and we have a new segment called Do You Know?
Oh, okay, yeah.
So do you know, my friend? And I'm basically going to give you 3 questions. I think these are fairly easy. You should get these this week.
Ooh, okay.
You should get all 3. This should be a 3-point game this week. You're getting a 3-pointer right now. You're going from the arc, baby. Just all wrist. And swish, okay? Mm-hmm. So if you are ready, my friend, we shall begin.
I'm ready.
So, first question. Do you know, Kenny, which player has won the most MVPs in NBA history?
Ooh. The most MVPs in NBA history.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Was it Michael?
So was it Michael? Let's see, my friend, if you are correct. Do you want to guess how many?
I'm pretty sure it was it 7 or 8?
All right. So it was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Oh.
Kareem, who's going to be passed in the points, all-time scoring, won 6.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan, 5.
5. Yep. 5. Yep.
So Kareem Abdul-Jabbar won 6 MVP titles in his career, most in NBA history.
Right. You're so correct. I knew it too. I was like,
so close, my friend. So, Kenny, question 2. Do
Yes.
you know
Uh-huh.
which player has had the most double doubles in NBA history?
The most double doubles, not triple doubles.
Not triple doubles,
Double double.
double doubles.
I do know that.
Plus 2 and 2.
I know
Yes.
that. I know
Double.
this. I know
You
this
know this
question.
one?
I know
Okay.
this question.
All right. You said it with such conviction that I believed you were just going to blurt out the answer right away. But go ahead.
Oh my God, I know.
Oh, I love this. This is.
I'm
Go
gonna
ahead.
say Moses Malone.
Moses Malone. Do you want to guess how many double doubles?
I don't know.
Okay. All right.
No,
Trying to give you those half points, my friend. Trying to give you some of those half points. Was it Moses Malone? It may have been Tim Duncan.
Tim Duncan.
Tim Duncan, 841 double doubles in his career, most in NBA history.
841 double doubles.
Yes, sir.
I guess that's why he's the greatest
Right,
power forward of all time.
history. Right? Is that not insane to think about? We think about Tim Duncan. It's not flashy. It was never flashy.
No, never
Just
flashy.
his work ethic, the way he would just work. He grinded. And that's why you have the most double doubles in NBA history with 841. But that's pretty impressive.
Oh my, yes, it is.
Pretty impressive.
I did not know that. I didn't know that.
It's kind of crazy, my friend. It's kind of crazy.
Holy
Tim Duncan. So question number 3, Kenny.
Yep.
You're 0 for right now. This is your chance. This one I'm pretty sure you're gonna get. Third question. Do you know, Kenny?
Yeah.
Which player scored the most points in a playoff game in NBA history?
In a playoff game.
In a playoff game.
Oh, sheesh. I can't go 0 for 3.
You cannot, my friend. You better get this one right. Come on, Kenny. Come on, Kenny. You got this.
Okay. Playoff game.
Playoff game. Not in a regular season game. Not in a series. One game in the playoffs. This player scored the most points.
Kobe Bryant.
Kobe Bryant. Do you want to guess how many points Kobe Bryant scored?
I tell you right now, it wasn't 71 because that wasn't a playoff game.
That wasn't a playoff game. And that would have been 81 that the game.
Yeah, sorry, 81. Or 81. That's right, 81.
Yes.
Yeah.
No guess? All right. So you're going to shoot yourself. You ready for this one?
Oh, my God.
Okay. Oh, my gosh is correct. You should have gotten this one. That would be one Michael Jeffrey Jordan, who scored 63 points in a playoff game against the Boston Celtics.
Oh, my God. Oh!
In April. I think it was April 20th.
Oh, and the Bulls still lost.
And he has the most points in a playoff game in NBA history. Look at him going up against Bird. Look at the defense by Bird, both hands up. Perfect defense there by Larry Bird.
I did not realize that was a playoff game.
That was a playoff game, my friend.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Do you know 0 for 3 tonight, my friend Kenny? I got to leave that up for a second longer because I just loved MJ, man. Look at that. The grace. Look at how high off the ground he is. Look at where Larry's feet are and where Michael's are.
Let me tell you something, man. He ain't never have no flu, okay? All right.
You're not going to give him credit?
No.
Look at that. Look at his feet.
No.
They're at his knees, Larry's knees right now. Look at the. Oh, my goodness, Kenny.
Sorry, Michael. Sorry, Mike. No.
You are off your rocker, my friend. I know you went 0 for 3 and you're a little bitter right now, but it's okay. It's okay.
Michael Jeffrey. Mike.
You want to be like Mike?
I never want to be like Mike.
I believe there's a picture out there of you with a Michael Jordan. I mean, we could always bring that up if you want.
I'm good.
No, that never happened.
I'm good.
Once again, this has been Sports Unfolded NBA rankings. We are normally. Oh, go ahead.
Good.
You got something?
Yeah, I got one thing to say.
What do you got?
94 or 98. Okay, all right. It was Shaquille O'Neal was supposed to win the scoring title. It was Shaquille O'Neal and David Robinson. Remember they were going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Yes, I remember that.
And Shaquille was about 10 points away from winning the scoring title. And what did David Robinson do? He scored 71 freaking points in one game.
He wasn't losing it
to win the scoring title. Okay.
Listen,
all right.
In the NBA, if a guy really wanted to score that many points, he could do it. It's just you're going to feed him the ball every time.
Exactly.
Right? And I think, again, we saw it with Kobe with his 81. They just kept passing Kobe the ball. It didn't matter.
It didn't matter just passing the ball.
Right. So I'm sure if we had film on Wilton back in the day with 100, it was probably the same thing.
Same thing.
But yeah, no, that was I remember that race. Believe it or not, that was really good. Yes, because I think Shaq played first, and he took it over like 0.1 or something. It was, and they were like David had to score X amount, and he ended up like surpassing it by a ton. So that's crazy. No, and the Admiral, man, we don't talk when we talk about great centers. He's not one of those guys you mentioned first and foremost, but he was definitely, I would say, a top 5. He really could be.
He was so strong. I mean,
Kenny, we're going to have to do one of those shows one day. NBA ranking show, just ranking positions.
Oh, yeah.
That might be a fun one to do.
Oh, yeah.
Right? We'll mix it up sometimes. We'll throw something a little different in, see where we go. Maybe we get Ron to join us because you know how he gets really angry when we pick somebody that he doesn't think should be. So we'll have to do that.
And that's how it's going to be this year. Between Embiid and Luka, I mean, Luka easily scored 53 points?
Yes.
Easily.
Yeah, I think it's Luka's to lose. I think he's on a mission this year to win, at least win the scoring title, because he's not going to win a championship.
See what happens when you're related to a supermodel?
Yes.
Great. You're married one, your mom's one, your sister's one.
You're great at athletics. That's a guarantee. That's an automatic, my friend. Trade deadline coming up as well, so I'm sure we'll be covering some of that. But check us out every Friday night on our normally scheduled programming on Rhode Island Broadcasting. Follow that. Yes, all our social media outlets and how you can follow us on Sports Unfolded. Check us out. Continue to share us. That goes such a long way for our success. We appreciate that so much. 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, on Rhode Island Broadcasting this Friday. A big show coming up. We've got a lot to talk about. A lot of NFL news. And there's some little game coming up on February 12th that we might discuss for a little bit. I don't know what it's called. But Kenny, you have to join us for our Super Bowl preview show. Make sure you're in for that. And all the fans that have watched out there live, we appreciate you so much. Those that are going to watch afterwards, continue to share, follow us. And we appreciate all the support. And all we ever ask for every single time is peace on earth.
Peace.